I'm gonna show you guys where I prefer to put my optic on my duty, should hit the fan, whatever rifle. There's two reasons why I like putting it above the ejection port. One of the main failure function points of your rifle is going to be where your gas tube enters your upper receiver, right? So any kind of explosion, anything like that, you know, there's a higher chance of it happening right here on your handguard. So that's in order to protect your optic. Also, above the injection port is a good rule of thumb because your bullet is right underneath it in the front. So height over bore does matter in the situation. So I'll go ahead and put the optic on and you guys can see what I'm talking about. A good rule of thumb is wherever your handguard connects to your upper receiver, there's always that line right there where the connection point is. I don't like to let my things go past that line. So if you know, good rule of thumb, if you follow that rule right there, you know, you're pretty much set up for success every time you do this. To me, torque doesn't really matter. If it's tight, it's right. You know, just don't strip your screws, right? Your handguard is gonna move, right? I don't care how well you have it torqued, etc., right? Whatever you're doing with the weapon system, it will move. So you're gonna lose that zero. You're not gonna maintain a zero, right? So having it on a good solid platform like your upper, that's where you always want it to be. So now I have my optic installed. We're gonna be running an EOTech EXPS2 QD on this one. These are good all around for 50 to 100 yards. I prefer them more just for the reticle system. I can hit that 7-yard CQB shot. I can also tap that 200-yard whenever I need to, super easy. So that's why a lot of people will choose EOTechs over every other optic system. Next thing we're gonna run is an IR laser. This is the Holosun Iris GR3. Holosun just came out with these a little while ago. They're super solid and they're super budget friendly compared to, you know, these Ingal, these PEC, these L3, these Harris systems. You do not need a $4,000 Ingal. You do not need a $1,500 PEC. You don't need the L3 stuff. If you want it, take it, right? But Holosun offers this at a great budget for just about the same power capabilities as all these bigger, you know, more higher end systems. We're gonna run that one. It's cheap, it's dependable, and I trust it. It is IR green, visible laser green, and then, you know, regular IR. Also has an IR flood on it, which is pretty nice for those CQB situations. Another thing that I will always run on my duty weapons is a second form of optics, right? So whether that be iron sights, 45-degree mounted iron sights, you know, LPVO with red dot on top, whatever, right? I'm always gonna run a second set. It's always good to run hard irons. If I'm in a situation, you know, God forbid that, you know, my optic does go down and now I don't have a second form of target acquisition. So if this red dot goes down, I'm not sitting and pointing and shooting. I can still take my accurately placed shots and take target down. I personally like to run my irons behind my IR device because I don't like flash. I don't like flood. I don't like any kind of glint, because when that IR hits, if it bounces off any kind of metal, you're gonna see it under night vision and it's just gonna kind of explode in your face. So I like to run mine behind and give my IR clear 100% lane of view. You know, when I'm under nods, I'm not worried about if I'm gonna turn a corner and, you know, get flashed by something. So 45-degree mounted irons, they're cool, they're good, especially if you want more real estate on your top rail. In a duty environment for a firearm, I'm expected to beat up this rifle. I'm expected to throw it around. Strongest point to mount things on your rifle is going to be your top rail. Every time that you build a firearm, it's 100% personal preference. Obviously, some things are wrong and not everything's right. I always run my irons on top. Always have that second form of target acquisition in case this were to go down. So, you know, I'm in a scenario where, you know, God forbid that I am, but, you know, need be, EOTech went down, right? Go ahead, take that EOTech off. Now I'm back in the fight still. I do also like the unities, how it does allow irons to go over. And even with this Holosun Iris GR3, I still have good target acquisition with my iron sights. Now, obviously it's not ideal to fight with iron sights, all of you Desert Storm guys, but it's a second form in case something were to happen. That is why I run iron sights. I don't think I will ever not run iron sights on my main rifle. Now we're gonna get into the light situation here on us. We do have a mod light. Now I will tell you, this is what we have in store right now. For a duty rifle, I would not run a pressure pad. You're in a scenario where you can't be seen, or you're in a scenario where it's all hands on deck, don't get caught. And if you're running a gun, you got a pressure pad, and you're squeezing your rifle, and you're just walking around doing this, it's not cool, right? Mount your light wherever you need be. If you're running a suppressor, mount it a little farther forward, obviously, to eliminate that suppressor shadow. I would run it about right here. Okay, so now I have my light mounted. Now, obviously, as I said, this is what we have in the store. Pressure mounted flashlights are good. right? But Surefire makes a dual tail cap, which I do like. So if you do want to run your pressure pad, you also still have your button on the other side right here, where you can easily, in any situation, reach over and press, right? Do what you got to do, move in and out, whatever. I prefer to press a button. So maybe I'm old school, but that's how I would do it. Overall, this is how I would set up a duty rifle. If you're in a certain scenario, I don't think you should need magnification. We are running a suppressor cover on here. I do recommend running a suppressor cover. The last thing you need to worry about is my can gonna burn my leg? Also, heat signature reduction. I do prefer burn-proof gear. Overall, this is how I would build my duty rifle. I run my EOTech on my riser. Why am I running a riser? Night vision capabilities, right? It's also a lot easier target acquisition when your optics a little higher up. It allows you to not be so far into your firearm. I'm gonna run iron sights so that I can have those, second form of target acquisition in case anything were to happen to my primary. I am going to run a flashlight. Now, we do have a pressure pad on this one. I would not run a pressure pad, but as I explained to you guys, that is my personal preference. One thing that I would recommend if you're running one is to get the dual switch, right? So if this pressure pad ever goes down, or if you have an issue with it, you still have your button on the side. You can still activate rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? I am also gonna run an IR device, the Holosun Iris GR3. This thing has great IR capabilities, and it's super durable, and it's really budget friendly compared to a lot of other, IR units currently on the market today. I like to run vertical grips, straight vertical grips. If I'm ever in a situation, right, where I need to be able to post up, I can take this rifle and post up, come in like this, and now I have a stable platform to put my rifle on and shoot and take those accurate shots I need to take, right? So I like to run vertical grips. You can run whatever you'd like to run. Everything down here is pretty much personal preference. You can run angled, you can run hand stops, you can run slick. I mean, I know guys who run slick and they love it. Suppressor covers, please get one. The last thing you want to worry about whenever you're in a situation, God forbid that you ever get in one, is whether or not your can's gonna burn your leg. This is the overview of my self-defense duty rifle for a situation that would ever arise that I would need to use it. I know a lot of guys that run, they'll run the SOP mod stocks where you can store batteries on the compartment and all that. I don't see myself running, 15 batteries on my rifle. I think that's a little overkill, right? Stocks are also personal preference. I prefer B5. I like B5. They're great. They're awesome. They're sturdy. They're durable. This is a 10-3. My ideal duty, we call it a GPR rifle, general purpose rifle. It can be anything from, 10-3 to 14-5. With different barrel lengths, you're gonna get different velocities. You're gonna have different weights. You're gonna do things like that, right? I prefer 12-5. I think 12-5 is the perfect GPR length. Even with a GPR build, right? I want you guys to remember that when you add a suppressor on it, it gets long, right? And it's gonna get heavy. And I want you guys to think about if you're gonna be able to ruck that. Whenever I'm building a rifle like this, I think to myself, okay, how long can I carry this rifle for? That is gonna be a contending factor. You're probably gonna have that rifle on you for a pretty long time, so you don't wanna build a 14-5 with, full-size can, things like that, right? You could, if you're a bigger guy, if you're an LPVO guy, I'd go 14-5. If you're an EOTech T2 guy, I'd go 10-3, 12-5, 11-5, 11-3, whatever. I personally like 10-3s. I feel like I can get the job done with 10-3s. I live in a more urban environment, so if anything were to happen, I don't see myself shooting past 200 yards. With the 5.56, you get best powder burn, minimum 10-3. So powder burn is obviously inside of your bullet. There's powder, grain, whatever, right? That powder burn is the point of which all the powder burns inside your barrel, right? If all the powder burns, you have maximum efficiency, right? Now there's maximum burn and there's optimal burn. For a 5.56 platform, a 20-inch barrel is maximum burn. So out of a 20-inch barrel, all your powder will burn and you'll get maximum velocity out of that 5.56. Optimal burn is 10.5, which is what we're running. Especially with weight, I'm not the biggest guy, right? Maybe 6 foot, 165 pounds. So I would prefer a lighter rifle. So it's obviously not very hard to build a lighter rifle with every capability that you would need on a rifle. I have my night vision set up. I have my light set up. I have my suppression factor. I would say that this would be my duty gun, and I would run this 100%. I can easily tap 200 with this, easily, with no magnifier. EOTech makes this super easy. I'm sure Tony can put it right here for you guys. So this is an EOTech reticle, right? So inside your dot, that is, 0'd at 50 and it's good for 200. So I put my dot on that. I imagine I'll be hitting my shots at 200 with a 10.5 pretty easily. So I hope that you guys can learn some things from this video. and apply them to your next duty rifle build. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or concerns. What are you guys running? And if you guys have any tips and tricks for anyone else, put it in the comments. I'm not an expert, but if you think you are, please put it in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. And thank you guys.